We want to talk a little bit about small business lending. What does the bank look for when we're evaluating a loan request from a small business? I think the best way to answer that is to discuss what we call the 4 C's of credit. And these are 4 major areas that a lender will look at when we're evaluating the credit risk or the credit worthiness, I guess, of the company. So the first C, I'll talk about that. The first C is what we call character. And, this is not just how good of a guy you are. And it's not just the obvious things like, how well has the company paid how well do they pay their bills? How well do they make their loan payments? Things like that. Do they pay on time? And do they have a good reputation in the business community? So it's not just things like that. It's also things like how long has the business been open? And then how much management expertise does the business have? How well do they do what their business is all about? How well do they know that technology or that service? Is the market that they're in, is that conducive to the business that they're in? And another thing we look at is there a concentration of customers? In other words, are they just selling to a few big customers, or do they have a diverse number of customers they can kind of spread that risk out over? And then what is the demand for their product or service in the market that they're in? And then last part of character is, do they have a good business plan and a good marketing plan, and do they stick to that? Do they know where they're going and how they're going to get there? What's the next one, Jeff? Tell us about the next C.
Yeah, Steve, cash flow is what I wanted to discuss today and wanted to share with you all. Cash flow is, I would say, one of the more critical pieces of any deal you're looking at. But cash flow also speaks to, folks personally. You can really look at it from a personal budgeting standpoint or a business budgeting standpoint. But cash flow at a very basic level comes down to 3 things. You're talking about income. If you're on a personal level, you're talking about what your income is, what your salary is. On a business side, you'll be looking at sales you're generating, what your revenue streams are, and how much just gross money you can pull in and put in your pocket. The next piece is like an operating expense. On a personal level, that would be what it takes you every month really to live. Normal expenses, utilities, food, groceries, things like that. On a business side, an operating expense is going to be similar. What are your utilities? What are some of your hard costs, your salaries, taxes, things of those natures? And then when you break that down, you've got your salary or your income on a business side minus those basic expenses, and then you get to what we call a net income figure, right? And net income, guys, is what we're going to look at to assess how well a business can cash flow, what their debts are.
Scott, tell us about the other C's.
Okay, I'll cover the 3rd and 4th C's of credit, with the 3rd being collateral. So collateral is something that probably most business people are more familiar with than some of the other C's we talk about. Those are business assets that a business owner would pledge in order to secure a loan. So that can come in the form of, most often, cash, accounts receivable, inventory, equipment, and then in a lot of cases, real estate. So the bank most often requires collateral in order for it to extend credit to an individual borrower. 4C, which is capacity. So the bank is always looking for a borrower or an individual behind a borrower and what their capacity is to repay a debt should they experience any sort of cash flow interruption. So any good business or a good startup plan is going to have a blueprint for their ability to repay debt and accompany overhead should they experience an interruption. So what would be an interruption? So a business sells a product, they sell a service, they extend terms on that product or service. Well, sometimes there may be delays in the collection of that. That can create a shortage of cash.
The bank has built our lending portfolio, our loan portfolio, on small business lending, and that's kind of our bread and butter, is what we refer to it. And so we're certainly always looking for opportunities to make loans to small businesses. That's where most of the jobs come from, certainly in our economy, and we're very bullish on small business.